number 31 for USC Trojans. If you get a chance to watch him, just remember that freshman, number 31, Jadyn Walker. He's on all the kickoff return, and he was in there on a couple of defensive packages. So, again, this is on staying strong and having a good mentality to not let expectations not being met get you down. He was like, Unc, to be honest with you, man, I wanted to be on the field a lot more. When they do take that chance and they do give you that shot, you better fucking make it. Don't fucking miss. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Coach Rodo's podcast, Winning Regardless. Today, I want to talk more about playing time in situational situations. So, this weekend, the wife and I got to go to California to watch our nephew who plays at USC. And he's a redshirt freshman. Last year, he had shoulder surgery. And, USC is a great school for medical. And so they cleaned out his shoulder and redshirting, tough kid, great kid, really, really nice, great, kind heart. His football coach was there this weekend from high school, and his wife was saying how great of a kid he was, how when they first came over, he always used to speak to her because a lot of no parents ever spoke to him because they were new. So you know how it is when it's a new person, you shy away. But he was always there to speak to her, she said. So we got a chance to go out and watch him play. And, it's Division I football. And it's big-time Division I football. It's, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Pete Carroll, Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott. These are the guys. This is where he playing. He's a Trojan. And of course they're playing Michigan State, the Spartans. Bah, I'm a U of M fan, so boo. And I'm a USC fan, so yay. Fight on. So, we get out there and watch. He's playing a lot as far as, because they're scoring on Michigan State a lot. So he's on all of the kickoffs. And, Michigan State was doing a little bit of scoring, and he's on all the kickoff return. And he was in there on a couple of defensive packages. So, again, this is on staying strong and having a good mentality to not let expectations not being met get you down. So again, as I was saying, he was on the field a lot. To me, as a freshman, being on the field, that much. But after the game, I asked him how he was feeling, and he was like, Unc, to be honest with you, man, I wanted to be on the field a lot more. I said, well, nephew, you're a freshman, and man, you're on every kickoff and every kickoff return, punt teams, and you play one series on a defensive package. He said, yeah, but, in practice all week we was running, we were running packages, and I'm in all the packages, and the defensive coaches is like, yeah, Jay, you're going to play a lot. You're going to play a lot. His name is Jadyn Walker, Portage Northern. Number 31 for USC Trojans. If you get a chance to watch him, just remember that freshman, number 31, Jadyn Walker. Anyway, he's like, they hyping me up, telling me I'm going to play, I'm going to get a lot of playing time, and, my packages is going to be out there because that's what we practice. But it didn't happen in the game, and I can see that it hurt him, and like I said, this kid he's such a great kid. You never know what hurts him because he doesn't tell you. Two, he always just has the greatest fucking disposition. I mean, just a great, great kid. And, I could, from being around him for so long, I could tell that it hurt, and just by the fact that we were having the conversation. So, I had to talk to him and tell him, nephew, sometimes it's a mental thing. You're a freshman. You're going to be there a while. Sometimes coaches do things to not so much as build you up as they do to break you down to build you up. Sometimes coaches test you, maybe all week, and then to get to today is a test to see I gave him all of this hope. I told him all of these things, and I didn't do it. Let me watch the film and see how he did when he was doing what he was usually in the game for, and also let me see how he handles disappointment. I had to explain that to my nephew. I said, you're on a D1 level. Coaches play games. They mess with you mentally. They break you down to build you back up. At least that's what they're supposed to do. And so I had to ask him, so like, how did that make you feel? And he said, I'm okay. I'm good. I just, a little disappointed and he wasn't hurt per se. Maybe feelings were a little bit, but he wasn't like mentally hurt as far as like, man, fuck this. Man, this shit pissed me off and blah, 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 blah. Spirits were great. Spirits were high. And I had this conversation with him. I told him, sometimes when they do those things, you have to figure out and do other things. Like I told him, when you go down on kickoff return, the one thing that they know about you is you ain't scared to hit nobody. Hit any fucking body. Hit anybody in your way. Make it so when they look on the film, they say, man, that motherfucker Jadyn is just hitting people. He ain't even supposed to hit that dude and he hit him. Because, my nephew's thought process is to get tackles. But again, that's a freshman's mentality to think that in order to get on the field that I have to get tackles or I have to get numbers. Yes, you do have to get numbers, but bodies count as numbers as well. That's what I had to tell him. That's what I had to get through to him to understand that. You're not going to always get what you want, but make sure you give them what they want from you. Running down the field and just blasting people. That's what they want. That's what they want you to do. That's how you get on the field. Stick around the coach. Be in his hip pocket. And he said, Unc, I was in his hip pocket because he told me to stick next to him and this, that, and the third. And I said, well, nephew, again, that's probably a mental game. So when you come into practice on, Sunday, they do a little light, little practice. I think they hit maybe twice a week. But he said, I said, the next time that you practice, you go ahead and you just light motherfuckers up. And then your thought process is, I'm gonna be next to you again, or this next game too, because eventually you're gonna get frustrated with whoever the fuck you put in my place, and I'm gonna be standing there, and you're gonna be looking for somebody else, but I'm in your face, and you're gonna snatch me and throw me out there, and I'm never coming off of the field. That's what I told him. That's the mentality, and so that's the mentality that I want athletes to take. Period. When you're thinking about your position on a team. And it doesn't mean like linebacker or whatever. It mean when I say your position on a team, I mean where you fit in the scheme of things on the team. Sometimes you can change the scheme yourself. Sometimes your actions can change the scheme. Sometimes by what you do makes it so that the coach has nothing to do but to look at you. All of a sudden it becomes, okay, from looking at you to, let me get this motherfucker a shot. But here's the thing, it was like I told him, when they do take that chance and they do give you that shot, you better fucking make it. Don't fucking miss. It's like they say, when you come for the king, you better not fucking miss. Because when you're young, him being a freshman, he'll have plenty of time to recover. But my juniors and seniors who may be listening to this, your time to recover is short. So you have to make that shit count, and you have to be pretty much perfect. Again, if it doesn't work out the way that you were told, it could be just a simple test. My nephew, after we had this conversation, he started to understand, because again, he's a freshman and he's never had games played with him. I mean, this guy's never sat the bench. He started. I mean, hell, technically, if you on the kickoffs and the kickoff returns, punts and punt returns, you starting. You just not starting at the position that, you're recruited for. But hell, if you on the field, you're starting. But they don't see it that way. He doesn't see it that way because that's not what he was recruited to play. So it becomes me having to work with him on his mindset to get him to think in another term of, damn, I'm on the field this early in my college career. I need to take it for what it's worth and then not spend it, but put it in the bank and grow on it. I told him a way to be seen, again, is when you are on kickoff or kickoff return, you just smash people. The one thing that you want them to do is and I'm telling you, he laid into somebody. You want you want them to be in film session and not even be looking at the guy that's running the ball and the tackles that's made at them. You want them to look at you and be like, ooh, he just lit that motherfucker up and he wasn't even supposed to. Because football is a collision sport. Football is a violent sport. And the one thing that coaches like is violence in football. Get out there and be violent. And he's a big kid, so I'm not worried about that aspect of him. When I saw him out there on the field, of course, as his uncle, you worry about it. But then when I saw him out there on the field, I'm like, damn, Jay is bigger and just as big. I mean, 6'4", 250, And I don't mean like a little 250. I mean a solid, chiseled, 4'5", 4'6", 40. I mean, and a kid is a rocket ship. When he hits you, you hear it. And I had to tell him about that. I had to tell him that, being disappointed in athletics is part of growing in athletics. You should be disappointed, but never discouraged. And to hear him have the attitude of not being discouraged, but disappointed, it made me feel good. It made me understand that my nephew is going to be okay. But a lot of you guys won't be okay, but you need to be okay. Because you need to understand that I might not be where I want to be, but I'm where they need me to be at this time. But I also have the power to change where they need me to be because I can make them see that they need me somewhere else where I can be more productive. You have to not get so. The first thing that we want to do when we get discouraged is we want to, man, fuck this. I'm transferring because it's so easy nowadays to transfer. Man, I'm not getting the time that I want, blah, 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 blah. To me, that's a cop out, and it may not be. It might be a better situation for you at another school. But one thing I didn't want to hear from my nephew is him saying that, he's discouraged to the point where he wants to transfer. I said, do you want to leave? That motherfucker said, leave Southern California? and we both laughed when he said that because, I was like, good job, nephew. I felt even more calm knowing that he still had it in him to crack jokes, that he wasn't discouraged, that the coach didn't get to him. And I'm saying all of this to say to my athletes to please understand that sometimes you're in a game without even being in the game. You have to be strong enough mentally to be able to play both games. And you have to be tough enough to take losing that comes with one of the games. Because sometimes you might find yourself on the sideline in life too. And just like in the game, you can also get off the bench in life. But what you have to understand is the game itself. So, again, I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I hope you have a great day, and you can find Coach Rodo's Winning Regardless anywhere that you listen to your podcast.